The phone vibrated on the couch, and I froze with a wet plate in my hands. Dustin was in the shower, as usual on Sundays. He loved to linger under the water, steaming his skin, standing under the hot water for 40 minutes at a time. It used to charm me, a man who takes care of himself, attentive to hygiene. Now every habit of his seemed suspicious. I wiped my hands on the kitchen towel and couldn't help glancing at the screen. A message glowed on the locked display. Just a few words, but they pierced me like an icy needle. "Waiting for our meeting, darling." My heart dropped. My hands shook so violently that the plate almost slipped back into the sink. There it was, the confirmation of what I had felt all these months, all these endless 3 years, when every gesture from my husband, every glance in a certain direction, every delay at work had triggered a wave of suspicion in me. From the bathroom came the sound of running water and a muffled humming. Dustin was murmuring something to himself, completely calm, unsuspecting, and I had his phone in my hands, and on the screen, a message from his mistress. "Darling." She calls my husband darling. 25 years. A quarter of a century I had spent with this man. I gave him a son, washed his socks, made breakfasts, endured his silence, his constant detachment, his inability to talk about feelings. I had excused it as male nature, fatigue after work, a hard life. And now it turns out he calls some other woman darling. I knew the password. Dustin had never hidden it from me. 4 digits, the date of our wedding. What irony. The date of our wedding protects the correspondence with his mistress. My fingers trembled as I unlocked the screen. My conscience pricked me for a second. Snooping into someone else's phone is wrong. It's an invasion of privacy. But do I have a choice? Can one go on living with this gnawing suspicion? The messenger opened, and I saw the conversation. The latest messages were surprisingly innocent, discussing a meeting, mundane phrases about the weather, about how the day had gone. But that address, darling, cut like a knife, scraped at my heart. I scrolled up, searching for something more explicit, but the conversation had stopped a few days ago. Apparently, they had been deleting messages. Smart, cautious. Without thinking of the consequences, I typed a reply. My hands shook uncontrollably, the letters jumped before my eyes, but I forced myself to focus. "Come over, the wife's not home." I reread it. Harsh, provocative, exactly what was needed. I pressed send and immediately turned the sound on the phone to hear the response. Then I put the device back on the couch, exactly where it had been. My legs gave out. I went back to the kitchen, leaned against the countertop, and tried to breathe steadily. What had I done? Now this woman would come here, to our house, and then the real nightmare would begin. Divorce, arguments, splitting property. Oscar would learn that his father is a cheater. Our family would fall apart. But can one go on living in ignorance? Can one look into their husband's eyes every day and think, was he really late at work? Did he really have an urgent client call? Or was he with her? I pulled a cigarette from the pack. My hands shook so much I could barely bring the lighter to it. I had quit smoking 5 years ago after the doctor warned me about lung problems. He showed me the scans, pointed to the dark spots. "See, Dolores, these shadows. Another year or two, and it will be too late." I had been scared. I threw away all the cigarettes, even hid the lighters. But today I rummaged through the far drawer of the table, where I kept old supplies, just in case. This case had come. I inhaled and started coughing. My lungs had gotten out of practice, but I kept smoking one after another, flicking the ash into a saucer. I brewed coffee, poured a full cup, added sugar, stirred, brought it to my lips, and couldn't take a sip. A lump the size of a fist sat in my throat, pressing on my windpipe, making it hard to breathe. 40 minutes. That's how long it takes to drive from anywhere in our small town. Maybe a bit less if you drive and don't hit traffic. But on a Sunday morning, there's no traffic. So in 40 minutes, she would be here. I paced the kitchen from corner to corner like a caged animal. I rehearsed what I would say. I pictured this woman, probably young, 10 to 15 years younger than me, with long legs, firm skin without wrinkles, a narrow waist, dyed blonde, in a tight dress and heels. Or maybe she's a redhead? Dustin had always loved redheads. When he was younger, he would constantly stare at women with red hair. Or maybe she's not a young beauty at all. Maybe she's a divorced woman my age, just as tired of life as I am. A lonely woman who decided to steal someone else's husband because she couldn't find one for herself. A cynical predator circling around married men because single men don't interest her. I ran different scenarios through my mind. In one, I silently slap her and slam the door. In another, I scream,